Hey guys, Hastings here, and welcome to episode 5 of Show Some Class. I've started it from the menu screen for this race, just for this episode, just because I wanted to show you, I guess to confirm that I do use a lower class car in comparison to opposition. I know they're not upgraded opposition, and some of them are only sort of like 609 with the 404 GT, but they're still better cars than me. Like the Viper there, that's 50 PI up. But yeah, I thought I'd just start here. Just for the sake of it, really. I will hopefully speed up the loading menus, and I'll catch up with you on the grid once I start that. But I just wanted to quickly point out that today I'm using the Jaguar E Type, and I'm going round Silverstone because I'm feeling fundamentally British today. I'm in a weirdly patriotic mood. No real reason for it, but I thought let's use a Jag and go to Silverstone. So why not? So I'm going to start the race, and I'll catch up with you on the grid. Okay, we're on the grid, and I'm in the wrong view for this bit. I was very determined to keep my lovely British car as pure as possible. So I've got the stock engine in it, I haven't got an aspiration change, standard rear wheel drive, I haven't used any aero, it looks exactly the same as it is, it's got the original engine. And I do like building cars like that, because it just keeps the purity and the soul of the car. It's like, it's alright, well and saying, oh, but you've put 400 horsepower in it. Yeah, I have, but it's still the same engine, technically. And it's kind of still representative of almost what this car could be in a way. I'm not a huge fan of doing transmission swaps. Transmission swaps? What am I talking about? Aspiration swaps and what's the one called? Like changing it to 4-wheel drive, that sort of thing. Maybe there's a transmission. I don't know, I can't think what it's called right now. But you know what I mean, when you do like rear-wheel drive swaps. Drivetrain, that's the one. Yeah, it's sometimes beneficial. Like, same with the engine swaps. It's like, that's not the engine that goes in your car, it's not quite the same. But so reluctant was I to change much about this car. I haven't even changed the bonnet colour. Normally the bonnet is black. But same with the wheels. I wanted nice chrome wheels, so I thought, ooh, that wasn't the best place to be looking around the car. I really did want to keep this car as sort of stock as possible while giving it a half-decent chance at doing well and half-decent chance of understeering around every single corner at the moment. I've got a nice British Aston Martin behind me as well. That's not going too well for that Aston, but hopefully he might be able to follow me through the pack. Just realised that I've got my game volume down really low, so if I miss a few gear changes it's because I can't hear the engine very well. I'm not exactly in the best position to get up and change it. But we will soldier on. We're on the first lap. Nearly at the end of the first lap now. Ooh, caught the grass there. That's not too good. Yeah, we're coming towards the end of the lap now, and we're up a couple of positions. It's been interesting so far this series, seeing sort of how different cars make up their positions. It's like in the my days, there's been a collision there between a Mercedes and a Lexus. But yeah, the very first episode was at the Top Gear test track with the Top Gear version of the Astra, which they use as a reasonably priced car. And it was quite interesting there because I was picking up positions rather gradually. Being a front-wheel drive car, I didn't have the best launch, so I didn't do very well off the start line. But we worked our way up over a number of laps into a decent position. And then, I think it was the second episode, I used the old Chevrolet Camaro. And I finished a few positions lower than I did in the Aston. In the Astra, even. And, but it was completely contrasting. It's like, I made up all my positions on the first lap. And then I was like fighting off and having to hold on to the position that I gained. Or positions that I'd gained. And I think it was a similar story with the Honda NSX Round Road Atlanta, and what was the other one I did as well? I can't remember now, it's been a while since I've filmed any of these. It's a really bad excuse, I know. What did I go? Oh, I used the Toyota GT86 around Indianapolis. That was kind of a mix of the two. So I gained a load of positions on the first lap, and then I did pick off a couple more gradually as well. But yeah, I'm hoping this is a gradual gain type of car, because second lap in, I'm only 11th and not doing particularly well so far. My patriotism may be letting me down here. Could have gone for something maybe a bit better. I'm thinking the reason I went for the E-Type, it's probably the most typically British car on the game. You can't. There's nothing says Britain in a car like a Jaguar E Type. Maybe that Aston Martin DB5, Bond's old car, but I've used that relatively recently, albeit in a different series. So I felt it's time to use the E Type. Ooh, that's not ideal. I don't want to be losing positions. I'm supposed to be gaining positions. Okay, I'm back past those two. Can I dive up inside the Ford? He's going to give me a little bit of room. And I'm on the outside though. Come on, car. Use all of the 400 horsepower that I've given you in your completely stock engine. Yeah, there's no roll cage in this car either. I really have tried to keep this car as sort of stock as possible while making it half decent, but I seem to have failed on the second part of that statement. Although, you know, I don't mind. I'm getting to drive a Jag E Type round Silverstone. I don't really mind if we only finish 10th. I'm in a pretty good mood at the moment, quite contrasting to the most recent video you've seen, which would be, I'm trying to figure out when this will go up. This will go up on Monday. So oh my days! And the most recent video you'll have seen will be the Saturday special. Yeah, that was really fun to film, that one. Yeah, I wasn't in the best of moods. So hopefully it'll be contrasting. It's in a bit of a bad mood for that one, but that was kind of just upon me by the nature of the filming session. Whereas, although I'm not doing particularly well here, I'm just in a generally good mood. I'm using my Jag and going around Silverstone, and that Ford is being extremely careful. Don't know why he sort of darted to the left and gave me so much room, but I'll take it. Not really happy to have lost a few positions, but I'm assuming that Mercedes' pace is typical of cars a lot higher up the grid. Just that he did have that tangle with a Lexus. I didn't really see what happened, but we saw the aftermath of it. It's actually quite a nice car to drive. I've built it specifically this video, and it is the first time I've driven it. So it was always a possibility that it was going to be pretty poor. I don't mind. I'm just, I've got nobody around me. I'm just going for a nice gentle drive, a couple of 100 mile an hour. Well, not quite a couple of 100 mile an hour, but I'm sure I'm getting to over 100 miles an hour in places. I'm not generally a huge fan of Silverstone, but I seem to be in the minority in the fact that I actually prefer this newer layout in comparison to the old original layout. I don't particularly know why, and obviously I've got no real racing experience at either of the tracks, but in the games I never really used to like Silverstone that much. I mean, in Forza, I never used to drive it much. Oh my days, I've really messed up around this section, haven't I? Yeah, in Forza I very rarely drove it, and so I couldn't really comment on that. Sort of toward the end of Forza 4's sort of lifespan, as it were, I was using it a bit more and I was quite content with it, but I always used to remember coming to Silverstone, or the old Silverstone, on the old Formula 1 games halfway through the season, and it just, I'd think, oh god, not Silverstone again, and because it's a game and it's typical of Britain, it's like, it'd always be bloody raining, and I'd just never do very well there. But this track I tend to do slightly better on, but I can't really prove that at the moment because I'm doing god awfully trying to keep up. This is a really slow car, but you know, that's the nature of this series. We've been pretty lucky so far. We've had all top 10 finishes. We've nearly had a podium on 2 occasions. We've had a couple of fourths, and generally the as I tried to explain at the end of the last video last week around Indianapolis, the higher class that I'm in, the harder it gets because the gaps between the cars get bigger as they get faster. So, although this is only B class though, so it's not actually that high up. I haven't really tried doing any really high up yet because I'm sort of worried that this will happen. I'll end up in like 12th place, going around with no one in front of me, no one to overtake, and the 4GT behind me isn't really catching me that much. Not that I've noticed anyway. But this car really does rather understeer, and then you hit a curb and it just goes really sideways. It's a weird one to drive. I won't be using it too much competitively, that's for sure. It's quite nice to drive. It's undramatic. It drives, but it's not very quick at all. If this was one of my rapid racing cars, I wouldn't be too impressed, that's for sure. Now, that'd be interesting. What would I give this car for speed and drivability if this was... Ooh, my days. That was terrible on my part. What would I give this car for speed and drivability if this was a rapid racing car? For speed, it'd probably be 10. Although, no, it's not quite last. Probably get like an 8 or 9. Although saying that, I'm against A-class cars, albeit AI A-class cars, and unmodified A-class cars. It's kind of hard to judge, but on this race's performance it'd be probably an 8 or a 9. Drivability would probably be, I don't know, probably slightly higher. Like I say, it's quite nice to drive, like around there it's just stable. You can put your foot down out the corner and it doesn't spin or anything. Which the Mustang like to do quite a lot. But apart from that, apart from the understeer, it really isn't too bad to drive. It's probably get about 4 or 5, which is quite unusual really. I guess I haven't really done a huge amount of episodes to compare, but it's just quite nice to drive. I'm finding it ridiculously easy to drive this car around the track while talking. So I said in Mods On episode 4. Most recent Mods On. It's like I tend to not be as quick when I am doing a live commentary, but at the same time I generally make less mistakes because I'm going slightly slower. I'm not pushing the car as much. Oh crikey, I'm on the last lap already. My concentration does go down, I didn't even realise that. But yeah, although I've made a few mistakes in this race, just running wide for example, I'm going to attribute that to the understeer of this car. But it's been quite a subdued race. I've quite enjoyed it. Probably the most I've ever enjoyed finishing 12th. But there you go. Can we get some sideways action to go across the line? Yeah, I wasn't going to spin that. I thought the line was a lot further down, but you know. Okay then. So the lovely Jaguar does unfortunately go to the bottom of our table, but I don't mind. It was quite fun. It wasn't the easiest race I've had. But I'm in quite a good mood, so I'm going to let this one slide. I will see you next week for the next one. So until then, Hastings out. Goodbye.